Hello and welcome to a new edition of Africa Today. In this edition of our program, we will talk about the current visit of U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken to South Africa, which started on Sunday and is expected to last for 3 days. The visit came after Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov undertook an extensive tour of Africa late last month. Blinken will hold talks on Monday with his South African counterpart Naledi Pandor and also make an announcement on the U.S. government's new Africa strategy. Pretoria said in a statement that they will discuss ongoing and recent developments related to the global geopolitical situation. The State Department last month called the African countries geostrategic players and critical partners on the most pressing issues of our day, from promoting an open and stable international system to tackling the effects of climate change, food insecurity, and global pandemics to shaping our technological and economic futures. Blinken, who is on his second trip to Africa since his appointment early last year, is due to proceed to the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda later this week. His visit to DR Congo is aimed at boosting support for sub-Saharan Africa's biggest country, which is battling to turn the page on decades of conflict. He winds up the tour in Rwanda, which has seen flare-up in tensions with DR Congo after it accused its neighbor to the east of backing M23 rebels, a charge Kigali denies. And to shed more light on the importance of this visit, we are joined over the phone by Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good afternoon, Mr. Ambassador.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Great, sir. So, Mr. Ambassador, how do you weigh the timing of U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's Africa tour?
Frankly, I have different messages coming from the United States.
Yes.
As an old diplomat, I do not see that the United States give Africa enough priority in its foreign relation. It's a matter of politics then. And I tell you a secret, and don't tell anybody, that an eminent American diplomat, while I was serving in Africa, he said that our relation with Africa doesn't pay. What I am doing here in 1 year, I can do it in Japan in 1 day. So maybe the American is telling me, we can depend on countries more acceptable in the African continent.
Yes.
So I see these movements as a sort of to cover the political image of the United States, especially that we have different challenges in our world, whether the epidemic of corona or the war in Ukraine, and the problem in the whole economic situation in the whole world. So let us wait and see, because really I do not take this contacts as a priority to the United States nor to its alliances.
So, sir, analysts say that the tour aims at countering Russia's influence in Africa, especially after Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov's visit. So, how do you see this opinion?
This is exactly what I want to say. Maybe it is to cover or to face the Russian political context in the recent time.
Yes.
So it is just a reaction what Russia and China are doing. China is much more penetrating the African continent. So this is to say that we are there, the Americans, and to tell those countries that America is ready to help them whenever they need, not to depend totally on the Russian system or the Chinese one. That's all I can see.
Yes, so Sir Blinken is due to hold talks on Monday with his South African counterpart Naledi Pandor and also make an announcement on the U.S. government's new Africa strategy. How would you describe the U.S. Africa strategy under President Joe Biden?
South Africa is a different story because, you know, it was used to be the white man country. And South Africa as an economy, it belongs to Europe much more than it belongs to Africa. So I think that South Africa is a good alliance to whether Europe or the United States. So it is a good point there to start whatever you want from your efforts in the country. And thank God that we have very good relations with South Africa, and we are a very acceptable place also there.
So, sir, what new angles do you expect the new Africa strategy will include?
As a matter of fact, we are in the middle of many challenges in our world, whether the disease, whether the war in Ukraine, whether the lack of food, the problem of energy. All these things must be taken into consideration. And then we design whatever program or plan or strategy in order to face all the challenges facing the world. And it's a good point that we should include Africa, because Africa has many opportunities, but it is not easy at all to work in Africa. Africa is still underdeveloped with the whole meaning of this word. And in order to work in Africa, you need to spend money, to invest, to give them the chance to export, to give them the chance to apply more and more investments from abroad.
So, sir, Blinken is also expected to visit DR Congo following South Africa, and then will end the tour in Rwanda. Why those countries in particular?
Congo is one main country in West Africa. Of course, it has its weight in this part of the world. And Rwanda, already, of course, it is an old civilization. Rwanda and Burundi were used to be one kingdom. Now they are divided in two countries. One is a kingdom, the other is a republic. So there are many challenges there. Any good diplomat should see what's going on there. But Congo, of course, it's one main country. It can be used as a key to whatever you want in your coming policies and strategies in the western part of Africa.
And sir, how would you describe the race for investment in African markets by superpowers?
Very difficult. Africa still, although it is the poorest continent in the world, Africa is paying the money, the flow of money from Africa to the developed world is much more than Africa is receiving. Africa is paying its debts, it's paying the flow of investment to Africa or imports from Africa to the developed countries. So it's not easy. Africa still has to develop its bureaucracy, its banking system, its ways of transport, whether maritime or airway or road. We as Africans, we have to help ourselves by tackling the bureaucracy, tackling the banking system, and also the transport is not as the international level would ask us to be. So the idea is there, but the homework is very important and very difficult.
And sir, how is the economic repercussions of the Russia-Ukraine crisis is impacting investment in Africa?
It's impacting investment anywhere, but maybe it can be a good point for Africa and for us in the Middle East, because we can be considered here as a safe haven for the investors. It's not in the middle of this war, and it's not. It can't be affected directly for the lack of energy or the lack of food, because Africa is full of food, and the opportunity to produce food and energy in Africa is still there. So maybe this is one point in our favor as Africans.
And in your opinion, which superpower would you describe as a major political player in Africa now and why?
Pardon, I didn't hear you.
I'm asking you about which superpower would you describe as a major political player in Africa?
I tell you that the culture in Africa, they hate the word superpower. And I tell you another secret that many European colleagues complain to me that whenever they want to see a minister in Africa, the minister keeps them for hours waiting to see him. I have never seen this as if it's an ambassador.
Yes.
And it seems that the Africans are practicing these habits in order to show that no way to play superpower with us. We are independent and we paid a lot for this independence. That's why they look to us with all respect, because we are the country of Gamal Abdel Nasser, we are the country of Boutros Ghali, and we are the country who is well presented in every place in Africa.
Yes, I'd like to thank you, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Thank you, sir, for being with us. And back to our reports from the African continent. And the Kenyans vote on Tuesday to choose a successor to President Uhuru Kenyatta. The race is close and could go to runoff for the first time. More in the following report.
Particularly, are you worried? Citizens against freedom.
An opposition leader in his fifth run for the presidency, who is being supported by former rival Kenyatta. The other is William Ruto, Kenyatta's deputy, who fell out with the president earlier in their decade in power. Both tend to focus far more on domestic issues, raising the question of how either will follow up on Kenyatta's diplomatic efforts for calm in neighboring Ethiopia or in the tensions between Rwanda and Congo. Kenya is East Africa's economic hub and home to about 56 million people. The country has a recent history of turbulent elections. The 55-year-old Ruto promotes himself to the young and poor as a hustler who rose from humble beginnings as a chicken seller, in contrast to the elite backgrounds of Kenyatta and Odinga. He seeks greater agricultural productivity and financial inclusion. The 77-year-old Odinga, famous for being jailed while fighting for multi-party democracy decades ago, has promised cash handouts to Kenya's poorest and more accessible health care for all.
And at least one person was killed and one severely wounded after torrential rain caused intense flooding in Senegal capital Dakar. Rain typically falls in intense bursts during Senegal's rainy season, which runs from July to October. More in the following report.
In Senegal's capital, Dakar, unusually heavy downpours hit the city for the second time in less than a month, sending brown, knee-deep water gushing down streets and gridlocking traffic. Videos shared on Twitter showed submerged underpasses and water pooling through the windows of abandoned vehicles. Police said one person had drowned in the middle-class neighborhood of Mermoz. Another was rescued in serious condition and taken to hospital. Rain typically falls in intense bursts during Senegal's rainy season, which runs from July to October. Flooding is a regular occurrence during this period in Dakar, but deaths are relatively rare, particularly in more well-off parts of the capital. Senegal is a semi-arid country where sandy roads and flat-roofed houses are poorly equipped for rain.
And South Africa reported its first death casualty linked to COVID-19 vaccine.